what classes did you take in junior high? Do you remember what studies you had?
Seventh grade is just normal studies. We didn't specialize in junior high school, I don't think.
Teachers have different things they teach. Sometimes, they might be more interested in the Shakespeare
Right.
stuff, and others might be more interested in the classic literature or Greek literature.
Yeah, no, I don't remember a lot of that. I know I missed the bus one time and walked to school. And since our stop was the last stop before getting to school, it was crowded with students, and it was a problem getting a seat. And I wasn't really communicative anyway, and so for me to get a seat was really difficult, and the kids were really pretty rude about it. And I missed the bus accidentally one time and walked to school, which took a little over an hour. And where were you? Well, I had to walk to school. Well, it should take you over an hour. And they looked at where I lived, and somebody else said, she lives 3.5 miles away, so an hour is about right. Actually, she made a pretty good time. Yeah, no. So they let it go. So after that, I walked to school more and more often. And then somewhere during junior high school, I started seeing a shrink, so I got out of school early and drove across Los Angeles on a bus to see the shrink, and came back across Los Angeles after dark in the wintertime. And
so your house is down there by Randy's Donuts.
Yeah.
And you went to a psychologist, and that was up by the
Hollywood and Vine. Not Hollywood and Vine, but Melrose and Vine, about Hollywood High School.
How did you get there?
By city bus.
How far is that?
11.5 miles or something.
Did you transfer?
Yes, twice.
2 transfers.
Went along. Most of it was along Western, so Western to Melrose and Melrose to Vine.
2 transfers.
Yes, yeah, like I only remember one transfer really, so.
I think you said your transfer was at the farmer's market or something?
When the bus was on strike, I took a different bus system that took me to farmer's market, and then transferred bus to get me to the other side of the house. But usually I went down Western. And
so this is once a week?
It was once a week for a while, and then somewhere in high school they decided to put me with a group of 3 other girls who were seeing a shrink in a group situation, and thought maybe it'd be good to socialize me. And these were girls who were very outlandish, and I think instead of being on probation, they put him to the psychiatrist, but they were delighted in me because I was very innocent and open and wasn't talking to anybody. And after asking me a bunch of questions in the waiting room, and they found out how innocent and quiet I was, they started talking to me and encouraging me to do things that probably got me started in being interested in the wild side like nothing else would have ever done. And after we got to be kind of friendly, they cut it out and didn't have me associate those girls anymore. So then I just got to drink by myself. So
was it one person the entire time?
When I first started going, I had a variety of doctors, and then they settled down to one man, and I didn't talk to him either. So he would call me into his office later and later and let me go earlier and earlier, so I wound up spending half an hour sitting there at the table across his desk, and he'd sit at his desk.
bus and transferred, and then you took
Actually, the bus ride was really the highlight of my living with my parents there. I enjoyed the bus ride a lot.
And then you took a bus ride home.
Well, it's within a mile of my house, then I walked home.
And what time of night did you get home?
6 or 7 maybe.
And you were in junior high.
And senior high. So I did it for 4 years or so, close to 4 years. So 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, something like that.
Oh, okay.
My family had their dinner at 4, so they would take my dinner and put it in the oven. And I'd get home at 7, take my food out of the oven, and eat it and go to my room and didn't talk to my parents.
Did you do homework on the bus? How did you get your homework
I never
done?
did homework, except for my bookkeeping homework, and that was really kind of fun. I think he made me take it over a second time, and the second time I took a flashlight to bed with me and did it under the covers, and it was really kind of fun. I did really well in it, and I took bookkeeping too, and so you're not going to pass the final, you haven't done enough homework, but you take the test anyway, and I took the test and missed kind of like a 500 question test. I missed 2 of them, and so he let me copy the work so I could have it on file to show that it was okay that he gave me an A in it, because it didn't make sense that somebody did the homework had done it. But I took bookkeeping 1 from him twice, so I knew the terminology, and I done the homework, and the second time I took bookkeeping 1. So bookkeeping 2, it just was a matter of figuring out what was what and why. You figure out balance sheets, you figure out the rest of it. So he had me coming in after school copying it for a long time, and he finally decided it was a waste of his time and my time, and nobody had ever got through his records to see why he given people grades anyway, so maybe it's a waste of time for both of us. Okay. So I didn't do that. I was also late to his class a lot because I got to work in the cafeteria in high school, and I worked out in the hamburger hot dog a little booth where they sold hamburgers and hot dogs and some other sandwiches and cake and pie and milk, white milk and chocolate milk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to work that window for most of the time I was in high school, which means I earned a 50-cent lunch when I got done. So after we got done and closed it up and counted the money out, I could go inside the cafeteria, and they had closed the inside cafeteria down so I could get a normal lunch. And if they were out of normal food, they would make something or scrape something together for us. So we had, which was really exciting for me because I was so tired of peanut butter and too much butter sandwiches that I had stopped eating them a long time before that. And
So did you get any money from that, or is it just volunteer?
no, I got a 50-cent a day lunch out of that.
That you spent back on.
Well, I never
lunch?
got the money. I just got, they knew Linda Case, Evelyn Austin, my girlfriend, both got a 50-cent lunch because we worked in the cafeteria. So we'd come through and they'd say hi there and put us through the line. And
Oh, I see.
so I could order less than that if I wanted to, but
Yeah.
I had it planned out. Like, it seems like pie was 12 cents and ice cream was 8 cents, and the two of them together came to a full number. So
in the 50s, going to the movie was important. Going to get your hair done was very important. Did your family do that?
they made me go to a hairdresser twice, I think, once or twice to get a haircut. And I really didn't know what to expect or anything. They kind of took me up there or sent me up there or something, and I think they drove me up there, gave me the money, and dropped me off, and I had to walk in and get my hair cut and walk home again. And no, it wasn't a very pleasant experience. I kept thinking, other people live through this, I will live through it too. And over again, which seemed to be my main motto for things like that. I would get a box of clothes once a year before school started from Sears. We got a big box of clothes and would try on the stuff and be sorted out between my clothes, and I guess my mother got some stuff and my sister's clothes, and we'd spend a couple hours trying it on. Anything that fit we could keep for school next semester. Anything that fit got sent back to Sears with the promise of new clothes, but it was never replaced, so I stopped sending stuff back.
Out of the Sears catalog?
She ordered it out of the catalog.
So she didn't go to the Sears?
No.
Did she ever go shopping? Your mom? Mother?
She went food shopping once a month.
Okay, so did your dad take you to the movies? Matinees are pretty important.
Yeah, it was pretty important. And the big dance radio show, like Art Laboe music, with Art Laboe had the dance and singing and voice syncing, I guess, and that was held at the restaurant right catty corner from where my church was, almost. You still see it on TV once in a while when they talk about the 50s. But I did go up, my father did take us up, maybe my sister and me up, or to the theater. He took us to see Seven Brides for Seven Brothers once, and he took us up for a Saturday matinee a couple of times to Western, and we'd see a couple of cartoons and a Western movie, and then walk home afterwards. That was up.
Is that near your house, though?
Very near my house. That was it in Imperial and Western, and the church was one block west of that, so I was very familiar with that area.
You and your sister?
I think so. But that may have been, again, babysitting while my mother's with the shrink. My father would take me for long walks on Saturday mornings. And looking back on it, he was probably babysitting me when my mother went to the shrink. And sometimes my mother took my sister there, but she never took me in. And so the movies and the long walks and stuff was probably because he was babysitting, not because he, well, Linda, let's go do something fun. I enjoyed the walks a lot, and when I got to talk to Ralph when I was with you, I was very interested when he said that he took my father for walks, because that means he passed the long quiet walks on.
So your mom sounds like she was not happy.
She was not happy.
Now,
and she had sinus headaches that were awful, and so she spent a lot of time in her room with her feet up on her bed and a towel over her head.
Was your dad a happy person?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I think, personally, I think everyone has a set happiness points, and you can go become more happiness or less happy, but you always fall back to your set points. What would you say your dad's happiness?
I would say he was fairly content. He thought life was going along okay. He thought, 50s, his wife is dressed up and welcomed him home, and his dinner, she made him breakfast in the morning, and she made him dinner at night. She got up in the morning with him and made him breakfast, and would talk with him and have a cup of coffee, maybe a piece of toast with him, and then she'd make my breakfast, and then they'd say goodbye, and he would leave. He'd be gone for a while, and she'd whatever, and then she would knock on my door, and then it was time for me to wake up, and then she would go into her room and close the door, and it was kind of expected somehow that I would wait till she was settled in, because sometimes she went to her room, she came back out to use the bathroom, and then go back in her room, so I'd make sure she was settled in her room before I left my room, and get dressed and go in the kitchen and get my breakfast, and then sitting out, a piece of bread with a lot of butter on it, and some milk that was kind of warm. to school, and then after I left the house, she would wake up my sister, and they would have breakfast and walk her to school. During the junior high years, anyway, because.
So your dad, was he funny? Did he laugh? Did he have a sense of humor?
I don't know. He took the kitchen clock apart every year and oiled it, put it back together again. He had a little matchbox that the extra parts went into. The matchbox was pretty full by the time I left home, but the clock was still working.
Well, that is funny in a peculiar way, but I mean funny in like a funny way. Could you hear your mom or dad laughing ever when they were talking?
No, sometimes I talk very serious, and sometimes he read Norman Vincent Peale to her.
I don't know who he is.
Oh, it's a positive thinking guy, I guess. He used to read other things to her too while she was washing the dishes, and I was never sure if she liked that or not, but I would lay on the floor listening with my ear under the door practically, because the door was this high up off the floor, so I could listen to him reading to her, but I couldn't really hear the words of the story. But he never read to her when she wasn't washing the dishes. I don't know what they did there. He could knit, but he never showed me how to. I guess he had learned how in one of the boys' schools somewhere. My mother could crochet and do tatting, which is all those little doilies in the Knickerbocker house. I think they were tatted, so it's a type of crocheting that's a little more complicated. And she seemed to pull it out, work on it for a little bit, put it away. She sewed too. She sewed a lot of clothes for all of our clothes when we were little, and then a lot of clothes for my sister after we got to Los Angeles.
Why is he slowing down like that?
Yeah.
I think I'm speeding. So.
But she had a Singer sewing machine with a treadmill that went back and forth.
Oh yeah. Really? Is she good with it?
Yeah, she was. But I guess she'd sewn all of her clothes too, because maybe all of the girls now sewed. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even remember her buying clothes.
So you talked about. Let me stop for a second.